Today on Locked On Canadiens, that was certainly not a good game by the Montreal Canadiens against LA. We're going to talk about who needs to be better and how they can rebound to collect that 4 out of 6 points that we're always talking about up next.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canadiens. We want to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network, and we're so grateful to all of you. As you know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Laura Saab, also known as the Active Stick, and I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-host, Ian Boisvert, and we are not too thrilled with the effort the Montreal Canadiens put together, but we're going to talk about, in this episode, we're going to talk about who needs to be better and how they can rebound against Dallas. Ian, what were your thoughts as you were watching the Montreal Canadiens, particularly in that second period against Los Angeles?
Do you remember last year, specifically towards like the beginning of the season, there was a stat I was harping on all year.
Was it the giveaway stat?
It was giveaways. That, to me, was the story of this game for the Montreal Canadiens. 18-9. 18
Wow.
giveaways to 9 for the Montreal Canadiens.
That's a lot.
One of the only stats they led in this game, if we're being honest. Not a great game. Now, I want to put this first. The next thing I'm going to say, because I think it's important perspective in all of this. This is their first regulation loss since the Edmonton game. That was almost 3 weeks ago. So we're going to get in our feelings. We're going to be mad about this game, and then we're going to dump it, and we're going to move on and talk about how they beat Dallas. But I wanted to keep that perspective that this team is still well ahead of where we thought they'd be, and it's a speed bump. Now, it could be bad if it stretches into a bad week because they're playing against a great team in Dallas and then a really hot team in Boston on Saturday. But perspective. That's all I wanted to say, because I see a lot of stuff floating around on the internet right now. People are very upset, which you should be. They lost 5-1, right? You're a fan. I get it. But it was not a fun way to lose 9 straight against a competitive team in the LA Kings.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me, it wasn't that they lost, it was how they lost, right? It wasn't hard fought like it was against New Jersey. It wasn't stolen from them like it was against Edmonton. It wasn't a situation where the bad bounces got them against Toronto, right? Like, there's so few losses to draw on too. Like, that's something that we should keep in mind when we're talking about losses. I just didn't like how they played. I did not like that it felt like nobody was ready. And it felt like nobody was expecting to play a good team, even though you just said it, right? This is like they've lost 9 games in a row to this team.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best teams in the league. This is one of the toughest opponents to play. There's a bunch of former Montreal Canadiens on it. Like, to me, I don't understand why everyone wasn't just fired up to play their best hockey.
Yeah.
And I did not like any of their effort, really. There were no players where I looked at that and I was like, I like your entire game. There were portions of many portions of the game that I liked from people. Noah Dobson, Lane Hudson, there were some fantastic moments, but they were moments, they weren't stretches, which is not what we've seen, right? We've seen stretches in the past. We've seen stretches hemming the opponent in their zone, all kinds of stuff, right? Stretches where all the passes are crisp. And I think for me, the biggest thing is, I know we're going to talk about that 5-on-3, blah, blah, blah. That was not the issue for me, because I think that they still generated. For me, the biggest issue was it felt like this team had never played together before.
I have a big issue with that 5-on-3. Can we jump into that?
Yes, go on.
I want to say that got the game started on the wrong foot. This is a team that's starving for power play opportunities, and the first minute or so of the first power play, I want to say they generated a chance or two, but then Hudson gets hauled down as he's trying to break in, and they have a 5-on-3 for 1:08. And Marty puts together a unit we've never seen before. Marty takes Slaf off of the top unit and puts Noah Dobson out there. And that sat wrong with me. It sat wrong with me because, like, that power play unit, Slaf has 4 power play goals this year. I
It
believe
works
he leads the
because
team.
Slap is on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just found it. This team doesn't practice 5-on-3. So why not just stick with the unit that got you there?
Yeah.
Why not just stick with the unit that got you there? I thought that was a bit of overcoaching by Marty St. I thought that was kind of the story of the game for me from his perspective, was overcoaching. Later on, there was I believe it was in the late in the second period, there was an offensive zone draw, and the first line had been out there, and Marty took Slav off and put Demidov on. Why? Like, I know some people said, well, Slav got out there earlier than the rest of that line did. Maybe he was going off. Okay, fine. Maybe in a vacuum, I would believe that. But seeing what we saw in the first power play, like, I kind of thought that was a bit much. And the last one for me, the first line starts the third period. They get in, they're buzzing, they're moving the puck. They force LA to ice it. 24 seconds in, he takes the top line off the ice. He takes one of the best lines in the National Hockey League off the ice when they forced an icing against the Kings in a game where you're down by 2 and you're running out of time. You don't know how many opportunities you're going to get like that the rest of this game. I thought that was crazy. Like, putting the dock line on and they lose the draw and they're immediately back in their own zone. Like, I was like, man, that's nuts. I know Marty wants to get Bolduc out there more. He said as much this week, but like, that was not the time to do it.
No.
I thought there was a lot of instances where Marty overcoached in this one.
Right. I also kind of want to point out with Bolduc too, it's like, why are you forcing that, right? Like, Bolduc is great. I know he's been quiet. We want more from him over the past few games. And I totally understand that. But for me, like, why, like, when you're trying to force it, it's like you're trying to force a play. It never works out.
Yeah.
You know? And
the
so
Canadiens did that all night.
Yeah. And I really wasn't pleased. I do want to say one thing though, because I know there's a lot of Doc haters and they're going to come out and they're going to be like, oh, he took those penalties. He did not take those penalties. Like,
those were phantom calls.
Like, the replay showed it. Like, this is not us artificially defending or artificially, like, you know, going against the officials or anything like that. It, like, literally, those penalties were not his fault. So if anybody wants to, like, go after Doc, I thought he was fine this game. I didn't think he was bad. I thought those penalties, like, I knew people were going to, like, jump on those right away. He did not take those penalties. Those penalties happened to him.
The
really
trip important. On Laferriere, I think that in a sport where you have a penalty called tripping, I think the player that gets tripped actually needs to fall down.
Yeah.
Laferriere didn't fall.
Yeah.
He stayed on his feet the whole time. That one I have way more of an issue with than the high stick that, like, you know, from one angle it probably looked like that. Like, look, they huddled, they still got it wrong, whatever. It's like, it's tough to see that. The trip where a guy doesn't fall immediately after giving the Canadiens a 5-on-3 just reeks of game management. Like, that's all that was, which was really frustrating. But yeah, I don't put those on Doc at all.
Some real main character energy from the refs on that one, which I don't approve of. I really, really don't. And I know, like, later in the show, we're going to talk a little bit about who needs to be better and what they need to do to rebound against Dallas. Am I wrong in saying that there wasn't really anybody that jumped out to me as playing well this game?
I have two, and it's Josh Anderson and Jake Evans. I thought they were phenomenal. They needed them on the penalty kill. They were great. They tried to score shorthanded a bunch. They combined for the only goal of the game. I thought they had a great night, which again stinks because they're still glued to Joe Veleno, who just is trying his best, man. He's just trying his best, and it's just not good enough. You know, I think that line is showing promise if you can find a guy you can put next to those two. Yeah. But yeah, outside of them, I liked some of Matheson's play, honestly.
He played a lot.
Quiet. He played a lot.
To play a lot, yeah.
He played 10 minutes in the first period. Like, it was just too much. He played a lot, but I found that he was taking really difficult bounces and difficult plays where he has to defend and turning them into either neutral or positive plays for the Canadiens. I thought he was what they needed if they wanted to push the play up the, you know, and go up the ice. The Canadiens just couldn't do anything with it because they immediately put the puck on the other team's stick.
Yeah, so they were going to have to be better about that. I think it's cute that, like, Josh Anderson and Jake Evans played really well on a night where it's like their type of guy was back in the Bell Center, right? With like Yoel Armia, Corey Perry, and then Joel Edmondson. And who's the guy I'm forgetting?
Philippe Danault. Yeah.
The most important one.
The
But it's
pizza
like,
man.
yeah, like, you know, like those, like it's their kind of guy that was in the Bell Center. They really showed up. They are going to need to do better.
Yeah.
And I think we all knew that an Armia goal was coming. I think that was, you know, it was
No
foretold.
one knew a Joel Edmondson
I
goal
know.
was coming. That's
I-
crazy. And it was the hardest shot for a goal this
Yeah.
year, 96.7, I believe.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people blame Sam on that because it was unscreened. It was the hardest shot of the year that went in the net. I think that that's worth mentioning when we're talking about a goaltender not getting his hand in front of something that's going nearly 100 miles an hour.
It is crazy though. Like it's
Yeah.
like if you had given me a million guesses, Joel Edmondson would not have been one of them.
He would have been the
mixing them all up
last
now.
of the former Habs on the list. I would have been like, I don't know, is Dwight King back? He'll probably score.
Yes, absolutely. All right, up next, let's talk about who needs to be better and in what ways. And then we'll get into how they need to rebound against Dallas. And that's coming up in just a moment here on Locked On Canadiens. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands, using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of the top college and pro teams. I like using Drip Drop as part of my daily routine. I'll mix a packet in the morning before I go to the gym or during that midday slump. Oh, that midday slump, I really need it at that time. And it actually tastes amazing. My go-to flavor is grape, and it's become my secret weapon for staying sharp and energized throughout long days. Hydration has become non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. You guys, I'm really excited about my new life-changing jeans that I got from Doer. I wear them everywhere because they're so comfortable. They're so stretchy, but they look so nice. You can even wear them to work, going out to dinner, errands, travel, you name it, you can wear it because they're so comfy and they look so good. Doer combines classic jeanswear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. It's the best of both worlds. I can't live without it. Simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to as well. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing gift for someone you love. Go now to doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's DUER.ca/lockedoncanadians for 15% off. Doer.ca/lockedoncanadians. And once again, we want to thank you guys all for making us the #1 sports podcast network. We really appreciate all of you, all your listens, all your, every time you communicate with us. I know we'll have some words in our inbox about this game. So let's get into it. Who are the listeners going to tell us need to be better in that? And I know everybody needs to be better. But I can think of a couple of examples of people. And Ian, I know you have you're in your feelings about one person in particular, so I'm going to let you have the floor.
Oh, you mean Marty?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was just talking this week about how he admits when he's done things that don't work and when he's made mistakes. There are some times where he'll come back into the locker room, and say, that period was on us. We had the wrong game plan pulled up. Let's try something different. Because he believes that being accountable only is something you can only expect of the people you lead if you exhibit it yourself. And that's true for everything, right? Like, think of, if you're, in the working world, think of your boss. Like, you're probably more likely to be accountable for the way that you act if your boss is. So I hope that he shares some accountability for some of the things that he did in this game. I know he often gets very defiant about the decisions that he made. He did say moving Demidov up with the first line was just to see if something stuck. He didn't, say it was a demotion for Slav or anything, but it is kind of interesting to me that his first, let's see if this works, is the one thing that I think most fans are dying to see at this point. Not to say that the first line has been bad. I think it's been it's like I said, it's one of the best lines in the league. It's why I was so adamant about him not touching it in that moment. But I look, I think they'll be better. I think he'll be better moving forward. The team in front of him needs to make it easier on him, though.
Yeah.
But the team he coaches, they all need to step up so that he doesn't have to make those kinds of decisions. But the 5-on-3 was an unforced error from Marty, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And I just looked it up because we were talking about it before we started recording, is the underlying numbers aren't as bad as the eye test shows, but the eye test looks pretty bad. You know, like when you're remembering, like what was it? 18 times they gave the puck away?
18 to 9.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like almost 20 times a game. You're watching them like hand the puck to the opponent, right? And that's not even counting the power plays that they failed to score on. That's not even counting, So I do think that, overall the game needs to be simplified a little bit. Like it's like you always say, Ian, when they play their game and they get back to the basics and they simplify their hockey, like they do really well. And I looked up a number of stats, and I think that sometimes like the numbers aren't telling the story, because the story is they lost badly.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't for one reason. If every player on the ice was playing perfectly except for Sam Montembeault, then we would say, that they were done in by goaltending. And I think if that was what was happening, then Marty would have pulled Montembeault after the second or third goal. Right.
Yeah.
I think
if it would have happened, it would have been after the third goal.
Yeah, I think so.
Marty Montembeault gives up one a game. He gives away one every game, and that was the one. The puck is just rolling to him. All he has to do is cover it, and he decides to play it. He bats it out with his stick right to Kevin Fiala. Like it's just a play that can't happen if you're Sam Montembeault.
Yes, I agree. Okay. That. So we should talk a little bit about Jaden Struble, because, last week we kind of talked about him having the edge over Arber Xhekaj when Goulet comes back, and now it's like all turned around.
Yeah, it's completely flipped. I think Struble, has benefited the last few games from the fact that Arber Xhekaj and Alex Carrier have really nice chemistry and they play well together. Otherwise, I think that those situations might have flipped. It is kind of funny to think of an Arber Xhekaj Lane Hudson pair, though. I kind of wonder if I want to see it. I kind of want to see, like almost from like a circus sideshow sort of like level of interest. Like, it'd be kind of weird. I think I'd like to check that out.
How many Lane Hudsons do you think will fit in one Arber Xhekaj? 4. Like
I think if you stack like 4 Lane Hudsons in a trench coat, like you would equal 1 Arber Xhekaj.
Yeah.
I think Struble has played his way out of the lineup, which is unfortunate because, again, unless there's an injury, you don't know when you're getting back into it, and that's a very familiar place for Jaden Struble, right? Yeah. So I'm worried about how this affects his confidence moving forward.
I also think that in the first half of the game, I thought Kapanen was really good. I just feel like overall, I wasn't happy with most people. I wasn't happy with most of the forwards. I wasn't happy with most of the defensemen either. We were good with Mike. Even Lane Hudson, who had overall a great game, like gave away a really important puck.
Yeah, that was again like I want to give that more to Yoel Armia than I want to take it away from Lane Hudson, because Hudson checks over I think it was his right shoulder, and he sees Yoel Armia, and Yoel Armia comes and sees that and goes, "I'm going to your left shoulder." And that's exactly, I think he read that play immediately and said, "I saw where you peaked. I'm going to go the other way." And it worked flawlessly. I mean, Yoel Armia is a smart player. That's a guy that if the Kings make the playoffs and they have to play Edmonton again, he's going to make life really hard for the Oilers. Yeah. They'll probably still lose to the Oilers because that'll be 5 in a row, and that just is what it is. The last thing I want to say the Canadiens as a whole need to be better with, making the goalie's life hard, and not your own goalie. Yeah. They're very good at that. Making the opposing team's goalie difficult. So many shots. Darcy Kuemper it was like he was catching warm up at a Blue Jays game. Mm-hmm. Like there was nobody in front of him. There was no traffic. There was no deflections. The Canadiens either fired complete muffins at him or missed the net. Those were the two things. So all the big forwards, Doc, Bolduc, Anderson, Slafkovsky, go to the net, park your butt in front of him, make it so he can't see it.
Yeah.
Like that's how you beat goaltenders in this league.
Yeah, and it wasn't as though the LA Kings, which we expected them to do, we expected them to stifle the Canadians. That's not what happened, right? And so it wasn't as though the Canadians were preventing them the Kings were preventing them from doing that. Like I really think that it's definitely up to them to
Yeah.
give to give the goalie a hard time, get in his kitchen, as we like to say. I just had an image you saying firing muffins at them. I literally had an image of
Yeah.
Darcy Kuemper being pelted with like strawberry muffins.
Yeah.
He did have a good poke check. We love a good poke check on the show.
Yeah, I know. And think of how different the game is, right? Like that's Kapanen going to the net.
Yeah.
Which he does.
Yeah.
Kapanen goes to the net. Why is nobody else going to the net?
Yeah.
Like, think of how different the game is if early on they pot that goal. Like,
Yes.
I think it's a much different game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Okay, so we got to talk about how they're going to rebound against Dallas, and that's going to come up in our final segment up next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. I'm going to say that again. It's $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so the Canadiens had one bad game against a good team. Now, I also I'm taking a little bit of an issue with people saying like the Canadiens haven't had a test yet because what's the Edmonton Oilers, right?
Yeah, they look great in that game.
What are these surging teams? Even the Senators. The Senators are always a test for the Montreal Canadiens.
They'll be a playoff team this year.
Yeah, we gotta we gotta be careful what we say, And then there's teams that are unexpectedly hot that are playing the Canadiens. Like they played against New Jersey. New Jersey is a good team, so we gotta can it with they haven't played a good team yet. But this is
I love Sens fans saying they haven't played anybody yet, and I'm like, we played you guys, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that's perfectly clear. That
yes.
What are you saying? You're either wrong or dunking on yourself.
Yes. So LA though was their biggest test, and I think they have an even bigger one coming up against Dallas. No offense to all those other teams that I just mentioned, but I think LA is a massive threat this year. And I think Dallas, we talk about them being a potential cup winner every season for the past, 5 seasons. So they're playing really well. They've got some amazing players coming to town. So what do the Canadiens need to do to get back in the win column, hopefully against Dallas?
Yeah, so a lot of what we've already said, right? Put bodies in front of the net. Simplify your game, go to the net, that sort of thing. But it's one thing to say, well, stop turning the puck over, right? We point out these turnovers, these giveaway stats, and then it's just sort of, well, just stop doing that. Well, let's do a root cause here. Why are these happening? And I think a lot of it, the Canadiens they're very patient a lot of the time on their breakouts. Like defensemen will sit behind the net and wait. They'll wait for the play, the look that they want to open up. That there wasn't a lot of that in this game. They were trying to fire the first option they saw, and a lot of times that was a low percentage play. I think if you just trust in your ability to find the right play, trust your teammates to get open and create situations that are more favorable for them to get open, I think they'll be fine. I think the real problem was they just, from the jump, the first 3 minutes, I counted 5 giveaways. From the start, they weren't there. I don't know what the game plan was, if it was just to go out there and use your speed and try to burn them, and the Canadiens just kind of got carried away. But, they need to be patient. The game is 60 minutes long. You're not going to win it in the first minute. You might lose it in the first 5 if you just give up a bunch of goals. But you're not going to win it on your first shift. I think they need to all take that into account the next time around. Be more patient, and put yourself and your teammates in a better position with the puck.
Exactly. I think one thing that I want to see is Marty not overthinking the power play either. I really think that the Montreal Canadiens, it was up to them how they played in tonight's game. I don't think they just weren't a good team. I think they just didn't play well. I think that if they get back to the game that we're used to seeing from them, and that does not mean squandering everything in the second period. That means, if we're able to see them play that the way that they have and have that everything hitting the way it should. And that includes, like Boljik being quiet or whatever. Like you can afford to have a couple of players be quiet or not have their best night if everything else is working out. So like you said, you want to get in their face, you want to get in their goalie's face. You want to make sure that you don't give away pucks. I also think that it's like, I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous about Marty moving Demidov up to that first line, not because I don't want to see it, not because I don't love it, but what kind of message does that send to Slav? Like you take Slav off that power play or that power play unit, and then you take him off the first line when he was not the problem. Like he was playing really, honestly, I thought that he was hitting, he was playing physical, he was doing fine. It just wasn't generating what you needed.
He was turning the puck over a lot. Yeah. Scott messaged us in the middle of the game that we have to put Juraj Slafkovsky's shock collar back on for when he makes a blind backhand pass coming through the neutral zone. And yeah, I think we talked about that last year. Like that's when he's at his lowest. Those are the things he's doing.
He defaults to those easy plays.
Yeah, and like they're not easy. They're easy for him to just toss the puck, but like that's a low percentage play.
Yes.
I completely agree with you. That's one of the reasons why I was really upset that they took him off that 5-on-3. What message does it send? Right? I know that Marty and Slav are in lockstep, so I'm not all that worried about the relationship being tainted in any way or something like that.
No. I just think why is that Marty's default?
Yeah, I don't know. I think long term, maybe the team sees that as how things play out. And maybe Slav can drive his own line, but I would just not touch it, frankly. Like I wouldn't touch it. What I would do is late in a game, like in an empty net 6-on-5 scenario, if you're losing, I would put the top line out there with Demidov, Hudson, and Dobson. Like that would be a situation where you could put all those guys on the ice. But until then, like I just don't know. I don't know what you benefit from doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident that next game against Dallas, they'll just go back to how things work. It'll be the top line will be the top line, the power play will be the power play, unless they get a 5-on-3. I'm very interested to see what happens in the next 5-on-3, whenever that comes. Maybe, by Christmas of 2029 they'll get another one. But I don't think that this is a trend. We need to see more. I think he was just trying some stuff.
Yeah. I think maybe stop trying some stuff and like just tell your guys to be better at the things they already know how to do.
Yeah, trust your guys, right? Like I think that's a big part of this, and that's something that they all need to learn, is to trust each other, trust the leaders on this team to lead. Just don't touch it, you know?
Yeah. And honestly, like I think this is like a game that's not going to go down in the history books. It's not a turning point of any sort. It's not something that we're going to be thinking about. Well, next time they play LA, we're going to be like, oh, they lost 9 games in a row. Can they make it? Are they going to make it 10 or are they going to break this streak? But like, I think we can just kind of learn the lesson from that game, which is just get back to your basics, get back to what you know how to do. Right.
Yep. Yeah. Be interesting to see what practice looks like on I would imagine they're practicing on Wednesday.
Yes.
As you're listening to this, you might already know how practice looked. Yeah. Did Nick Suzuki skate? I hope so. Who knows?
We'll talk about it in tomorrow's episode, along with we still have a lot of topic suggestions from you guys. So we are going to be getting into that stuff as well tomorrow. But first, before we go, we have our daily trivia.
Yes. Yesterday's question. We talk a lot about the Habs struggles against the California teams, specifically these LA Kings, but they struggle against the Sharks, and they definitely struggle against the Ducks as well. There's one Western team that Montreal has dominated. Of teams currently in the West, the Habs beat this team the most consecutively. So I'm looking for the Habs' longest win streak of all time versus a Western opponent. Laura, do you know the answer to this one?
I do. It is 13 games against Vancouver.
It is. It's 13 games against the expansion Vancouver Canucks. Nobody had this one right. It was 13 straight. You did right away. As soon as I told you the question yesterday, you were like, I think it's Vancouver. And you're right. From October 22nd, 1971 to October 13th, 1973, almost 2 straight years without losing to a team where you played them 13 times. The Canadiens outscored Vancouver 69-22
nice.
in that game. Yes, thank you. Scott is still alive and well on this show. We keep him going.
He will be making an appearance soon. He wants to come on and talk Rocket, so we will be doing that. We also have some other guests we're kind of working out for future episodes. So make sure you are subscribed to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And you can find us on social media. We're Locked On Canadiens on Blue Sky. We're Locked On Canadiens at Gmail. We're Locked On Canadiens on TikTok and also on Instagram. You'll find us there. You can send us mailbag questions, comments, thoughts, all kinds of stuff. We do like getting emails from you guys because then we get anecdotes about your life and all of that kind of stuff.
Laura, I have a second trivia question, so don't end the show.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just went
I was don't we have another question.
Okay,
they're gonna get mad at us if we miss it.
They will get mad at us. So anyone who listened all the way to here will know. You're a real one. Go on.
All right. So first, I just want to plug StatHead. StatHead is the paid subscription for Hockey Reference. It's how I come up with most of these questions. I just spend a lot of time on the paid nerd section of Hockey Reference. So Hockey Reference, StatHead, very good. You should be paying for it if stats are your thing. All right. Today's question: Kopitar's first game in Montreal is a much better memory for the Montreal Canadiens than his last one. On January 31st, 2009, Montreal trailed the Kings 3-2 to start the third period. Which two Habs scored to complete the comeback for Montreal? So two players scored in the third period for the Canadiens to come back and win the game for Montreal. If you know those players, put in the comments down below this video. Let us know any way you know how, and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode of the show.
Can I have that date again, please?
It is January 31st, 2009.
All right. Awesome. So you heard the man, and you heard all my social media spiel. The only thing that was missing was make sure you follow my co-host. Maybe it's Ian. You make sure you follow me at The Active Stick. We will be back tomorrow, as we are every day. And we thank you so much for listening.